Okay, Z, where are we?
Well, we're in Santa Monica at Marine and Main Street. So we're here at the coming up to the working village where we put up some signs and whatnot. We're going to have our first Filmmaker Junction script screen event with Bob DeRosa. So it should be a lot of fun, and can't wait.
Come on in.
Hi, I'm Bob DeRosa, and I'm here talking at the what do we?
Script to screen.
Script to screen. I know it's Filmmaker Junction.
It's Filmmaker Junction is the whole kind of overall umbrella.
Filmmaker Junction is the whole overall umbrella, and they've invited me here to speak about my two produced films, Air I Breathe and Killers, and who knows? Well, maybe we'll talk about a bunch of unproduced stuff as well. But
hey, Bob, what single piece of advice would you give a new screenwriter filmmaker?
Screenwriter, filmmaker, especially nowadays, I think it's really important to be able to boil down your story into log line or a paragraph, really to just get it down to the core of the idea, because everybody you're going to talk to, from the person you're trying to get to finance your tiny little independent film to this big studio head that you wanted to make your movie for $100 million, they all have to really understand the story, and they have to understand it in a primal way where they get it right away, and they have to get it in their gut. And it doesn't matter what budget your film, but you have to really be able to tell somebody your story as quickly as possible, and for them to be passionate about it. You don't have hours and hours to say, it's going to be like this, I'm going to shoot it like this, I'm going to write it like this. You just got to be able to talk about it quickly and passionately, and I think that's a really important skill for people to learn. And the good thing about that is you can practice all the time, telling it to your mom and your buddies and your strangers at Starbucks. So I highly recommend doing that.
That's great. Now, one other thing though, quickly, is that if you're not pitching and you're actually writing it, sitting down to writing your screenplay.
What's the advice for them?
Yeah.
Really the same thing.
Yeah.
Because if you can't tell me your story in 20 words or 50 words, if it's too convoluted and doesn't make sense in that amount of time, then generally that means that your story's not going to make sense when it's 120 pages. And it may sound harsh and difficult and go, oh my God, my idea is so amazing, but it's so complex and I can't tell it in less than 5 minutes. You'd be surprised if you can get it under a minute, and it's going to work on the page. And if it takes you longer than that, then you'll read it on the page and people won't get it. And it sounds tough, it sounds very difficult to do, but that's part of the challenge. Is if you can get it into a tiny little box, then you're going to make it worth those 120 pages.
Brilliant. Thank you.
They want to read the script and they want to feel something. It's like, at the end of the day, maybe they can make a movie out of it, maybe it'll sell 1 million tickets, but if people are going to read it and have an emotional reaction to it, they'll want to know you. They'll want to know who wrote this thing that made me feel this way.
Surprise! I'm back!
Psycho killer!
Who do you work for?
Let's just say that I work for the blah 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 and they gave me a license to blah.
This scene was in every piece of marketing. This scene was in the trailer. Almost every 30-second commercial had crashing through. Ah! It's the key scene of the movie. In my mind, this is literally a $1 million scene. And the movie was rewritten. The movie started out as kind of like a $25 million, more of an action movie with kind of a romantic comedy subplot that over the course of development with the studio became a $75 million romantic comedy with an action subplot. Even through all that evolution and rewriting and studio, stuff that they do, that scene is still the scene that I envision and still the core of all of it. And I think it's important that, now I realize, especially with big ideas, big movies, there's usually 1 or 2 scenes that are the core, that is your concept working at its utmost. Where everything's working, firing on all cylinders, and that scene was for me, and I'm very, very proud of it, because that was the first thing that I had in my heart was this scene, and to see that it's.
Now he's talking about pitching trailer moments, right? Trailer moments.
Yeah.
Is this one of the ones that you would always talk about?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's always like that was in my script. It was funny. In my script, this is about 48 minutes into the movie. It's almost exactly halfway through the movie. This is the midpoint. One of the big things that Lionsgate did was by making it a romantic comedy, they really stretched out the first act, made the whole first act more of a meet-cute romantic comedy, and this doesn't really kick in until halfway through the movie. In my movie, you meet him and his wife. They have a very brief flashback at the beginning about what he used to do. Then you see them, living their life in suburbia. We meet everybody at the office. And then this starts at like page 21.
First act break.
For first act break, here's the thing. Because like I was reading, Save the Cat, and Save the Cat's like, on page 25, you should break into two. And I'm like, that's funny. I looked at my script, and there's a lot of things in my script that weren't working, but the one thing that was, and in my script, he actually kills the guy, he breaks his neck in front of his wife, which to me is a literal, like, you can't go back when you just killed your best friend in front of your wife. But the thing is on page 25 of my very first draft, he breaks the guy's neck and literally breaks an act too. And I knew, oh, I'm going to sell this damn thing. And I did.
So much? How did it go?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah?
Great event. It's great to hear directly from a successful working writer and the director that he collaborates with.
I learned a lot during these 2 hours, and I hope to come to your next event. So thank you.
I think it was very helpful and very inspiring, especially for a new director, screenwriter, new young generation to make films. And I think it's a brave idea to have this here, also mixing the independent film and studio film. Like, it's very helpful to know what is what and what to do.
Right. That's great. Thank you so much.